G'day everyone, welcome to the Big Footy Eagles podcast. For another week, you've joined us on the video stream. We are back, thank you very much. We're going to chat all things West Coast this week. As usual, we're talking the win over Carlton. We got plenty of injury news, and we've actually got a little bit of under-the-radar news as well that's gone through to the keeper. So we've got a bit of Eagles news to discuss there. We're going to talk heroes and villains, we always do. And of course, we are discussing West Coast versus Richmond this weekend, a huge game on the fixture. I'm Honey Badger 35. G'day. I am joined this week by Miguel Sanchez. Miguel, welcome back.
Yeah, joined also by my dog, who's just popping his head up in the background there. A few technical problems here as well, but let's soldier on with it.
All right, soldier on we will, and we will be joined in doing so by Keys. Keys, back on the show, first week in the can. How'd you think it went? And do you think we can do better this week?
Pretty good. Message for Agent 93. Fuck you. Yeah, not 21 minutes, 21 seconds.
We're off to an absolute ripper. All right, we're losing Migs. There's technical issues, but we'll soldier on. As I said, we'll persist with it. Thank you guys who joined us last week. Oh, yeah, we've lost Migs' picture. We're doing the audio-only video format.
Put one of the Muppets up there.
Yeah, Statler or Wardorf. Migs, who do you like?
Should do that.
All right, let's dive in. Let's dive in, gents. We, of course, will start with the game. It was West Coast versus Carlton. It was won by the good guys, and let's chat about it now. West Coast Eagles versus Carlton, 14-11-95. We defeated Carlton 10-13-73. Migs, it was a bit of a weird one. The expectations coming in were that the Eagles might struggle, particularly once we saw the ins and outs. Everything was a bit flat in Eagles land last week, but they've had a win. Pretty solid win at that. What did you make of it all?
Yeah, it was a really pleasing win, I thought, with all the cattle we were missing and at a ground we don't like and hadn't won at for 22 years. And what they say, I think 5 of the guys that played weren't born the last time we won there. But yeah, so really pleasing win. But I think we were lucky that we had a bit of a soft opponent. Really, Carlton in that last quarter reminded me of us a bit. In some games this season, that when the whips started cracking, they didn't really show up. That's the negative side of it. The positive is that we're able to get the 4 points, get some games into some of those kids, and saw some positive signs from at least most of them. Got contributions pretty much across the board. Didn't have too many passengers really. Having said that, we did rely pretty heavily on senior players, particularly in the middle. Nat Nui, Sheed and Yo had 25 clearances between them, which was more than Carlton's entire side. And that was with Yo only playing 2/3 of a game. So, pleasing in a way, but makes us a bit predictable, I think.
I think we're in the space where I just wanted to get a win. I was not banking on it by any stretch. Keys, I'll get your thoughts in just a minute, but I'll do some 3-word reviews first. Thank you, as always, to everybody who sent them in. Andrew said, guts at last. JS on Twitter says, super stuff, Eagles. Nice one, JS. Chris said, kids are good, and we will definitely circle back to the kids. A few, some nice green shoots coming through for the Eagles there. Kylie in Victoria said that life became bearable for an Eagles fan in Vic, so very happy for you there on that one, Kylie. Paul said Liam Ryan Clinic, and Steve said effort, youth, teamwork. Keys, the Eagles won every quarter, albeit marginally. What did you make of the whole game, and how do you think they went coming out with the win?
Yeah, funny sort of game. You look at it in isolation, they probably never really reached any great heights at any stage. Probably Liam Ryan's mark of the round was about the biggest highlight of it. There wasn't much else. We just ground out the win. So, won all 4 quarters. I think a couple of them won by maybe 1 or 2 points, but it was a sort of an Eagles-like game in a lot of ways. There was no massive runs either against us or we put on goals quickly. We just managed to got our noses in front early and just managed to sort of hold them at bay for the whole 100 minutes. So, just a good grinding win that we needed. We had to win that game, and I think when you look at the quality of players we had out, it was a really, really good win. And I think for the over East, the impression was that we were going to use And now Carlton are having a massive review because they lost to a half-strength Eagles side. So, yeah, shame on Carlton, losing to us. Imagine that.
Yeah, pathetic. Let me see if I can find the tweet. It might take me a sec, but hopefully I've got it here somewhere. Where is it? Here we go. Mark Stevens, Stevo AFL, another great footy writer. No excuses for Carlton this week. Surely a W will never get a better chance. Well, that's a shame. Carlton fans, you can just pack it in right now.
That's up there with Tony Jones's we're wasting a spot in the grand final.
Oh, that's a good one. Sam McClure, previous week that year as well, went, like this tweet if you think that Melbourne are going to thump the Weagles and get a spot in the grand final. So g'day to all the fine journos that are no doubt watching us here. Migs, you mentioned Liam Ryan. You mentioned Nick Natanui. Wowee. A lot of good efforts from the top line guys. Great to see Ryan back after a couple of lean weeks as well.
Yeah, had by far his best game, I think, since he's come back from injury. Part of that, I think, was that he was playing a lot closer to goals than he has been, which was due to the short lineup we played. And so I think with Kennedy and Allen coming back in this week, he'll go back to his usual role of creating up the ground. So, yeah, hopefully he's got a bit of form back from that Carlton game, and also hopefully his hamstring's okay. The forward line, I think, functioned pretty well without Kennedy and Allen, and it looks pretty good with the smaller lineup, although the efficiency was down. We got a good spread of goal kickers. We got goals from midfield. Redden, Gaff, Sheed, I think, all bobbed up for goals. Even Foley running down from the back line.
Neil got one too.
O'Neill, yeah. Sorry, I knew I was forgetting someone. We nearly got to 100 while we only got one goal from a key forward, which is unlike us because we've been relying on sort of the big three that we've played. But, yeah, Waterman and Williams were probably two of the quieter players, and I think they would have been sort of the other two of the big three that we played with Ryan as well, and Darling. Simpson keeps mentioning Darling having a good game. I thought he was pretty quiet apart from that early goal, but gave us a focal target at least. So, yeah, the forward line worked pretty well, but now we've got the problem of having to squeeze those big guys back in.
It's a good problem to have when you're talking Kennedy and Allen, these sorts of guys. Keys, Migs just touched on the midfield there. I was very surprised that we didn't hear more about Gaff, and I guess I watched the game wrong, I guess, if that's possible, because I thought he was close to our best on, but he didn't feature in the coaches' votes. Sheed's getting a lot of love. Ryan obviously getting some love as well. Yo had a very Elliot Yo sort of bull in the china shop kind of game, just getting the ball and thumping it forward. But I thought the midfield mix worked quite well, which, wrestling people starting to fight against an entire squad. But all things considered, Keys, pretty thin-looking group coming into the game, but worked pretty well at the end of the day.
Yeah, it did. I think Gav actually did. He had a really good game. I thought he a bit more physical at times. He got himself under a couple of high balls coming in, took some good marks. Even out bloody Cripps at one stage to take an intercept mark and set up a goal, which was good. So yeah, I thought Gaff played really well, and I think Luke Edwards played his role pretty well. He sort of looked quite composed. Didn't get a massive amount of the ball, but when he did, sort of didn't look out of place. And O'Neill had a bit of a good run at it. And I think Redden really did do a lot of inside grunt work as well. So that mix worked out all right. And I think Tommy Barrash led the defence really well. And I thought Edwards sort of had a pretty good game as well, albeit that I think Mackay going off sort of about quarter time probably helped him a little bit. But I think even up whilst Mackay was on the ground in the first quarter, he didn't have a particularly big influence in the game. I think he took one mark and sprayed the shot. But I think the defence held up pretty well. They didn't look overawed at all, given that we lost Shepherd to Adam Concrete Head Sard. It was a really pleasing win.
Migs, I mean, Tom Barras played very well down back, which Keys was touching on there. The back line held up quite nicely. But Harry Edwards was a big talking point coming out of this game, along with Foley, along with Luke Edwards as well. What'd you make of Harry Edwards' game and also those other kids? Let's throw Xavier O'Neill in there as well, because I don't think in a year's time we're going to remember the Carlton game, but we might remember, all right, this was the start of the journey for this next sort of generation through.
Yeah, I think, and showed, at least glimpses down back. They both looked, I think each of them had maybe one or two shaky moments, but they both looked pretty poised most of the time. Harry Edwards just that's come up assembly for us of the big key forward who reads the play really well and takes intercept marks and makes good decisions. Foley, it looks like a bit of a shepherd. Just comes in and plays no nonsense and stops his man.
Kicks goals.
Bets on occasions, which would have been runs forward and boots them from 50 and shows some of the forwards how it's done. Really pleasing from all of them, and Luke Edwards as well. Didn't know much about him even after we drafted him. Haven't seen a lot of him in the while, but just as Simpson keeps saying, he makes really good decisions. He's got a really good footy brain and probably just needs the body to catch up a bit and needs a couple of pre-seasons. But certainly didn't look out of place there for a kid taken in the 50s in the draft and playing his first game.
Negatives from the game, gents. I think Miggs touched on before, maybe Williams, pretty quiet, certainly his quietest game for a while. Waterman, again, for me, a little bit too quiet. I've gone back and forth on the board with a few people about Hearn because I thought a lot of his possessions are from kick-ins and there's a few bad turnovers in there, but, coming back, a bit rusty. Let's see what happens there. Any negatives, Keys, taking away from the game from your perspective?
Yeah, I think you touched on, Williams really struggled to sort of get into the game in any great way and didn't have any influence at all. Waterman's I picked him last week to kick 8 goals. I sort of...
How'd that go?
More than nudged 8 possessions. He's struggling to fit in this year. I said last week, I thought, maybe, with Kennedy and Allen out, that he might get a bit more of a run at it. But, if the opportunity was there, he didn't take it. He's just since he's been in the side this year, he's seemed out of sorts. He hasn't quite got into any real groove yet. So, hopefully he'll find it, or what are they going to do? We'll get to team selections for this week later on. But, outside of those two, obviously the concussion. The Shepherd was a bit of a shit, I'm struggling to sort of find anything that. I think even someone like a good old number 7 whipping boy Zach Langdon bobbed up and had probably his best game since arriving for the club. He actually, I guess he played the way the club was hoping that he would when we decided to trade for him. That was, if he can turn that sort of performance in each week or something close to it, well then he's got a spot in the side. So that was not a negative. It was just something else that sort of popped in my head. I was just sort of rolling through the players from my head, trying to think of anyone who had a bad game.
Sal coming through here. Langdon
actually
rate him. I think that's it's a tough one.
There's a bit of that.
That's not an unfair comment. I think
no.
One good game isn't going to change. Up until last week, I hadn't been particularly impressed with him. But
we've accidentally opened the floodgates on Zach Langdon commentary here, which I'm not sure.
But look, if like I said, if he plays like that each week, then I'm taking it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I wondered if it was it the SCG or was it a new role? He found himself bobbing up in the back 50 a lot, I thought, or a lot more than maybe I've seen him in recent weeks with the Eagles. So no, I certainly thought best game from him for the club. Yeah.
Yeah, he sort of. I mean, I think
when
the tracker he had, I think he covered more ground than anybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, 16.3.
And I think if you actually went through the tracker, like speeds and repeat sprints and all those, he was in the top 5 on the ground in all of them, apart from speed, which reinforces what
This is
one of the guys said he was slow. But yeah, look, you know, whether he played his role better than what he has been, or they changed the role up for him, I don't know. But yeah, fuck it, turn that thing each week.
I think
and
when
we'll
when Shepherd went off and Jones came on, they threw the magnets around a bit, and he spent a fair bit up on the wing.
Yeah,
I tried to do my little trick of going through the centre bounces and do the counts.
Yeah, I think they might have thrown Waterman back a little bit too when they happened. I think maybe I remember Timo saying something about that, which is something. He's not a defender. Don't put him down there. He's not that good. Down back, he's a forward. Leave him in the fucking forward line. Jesus.
All the Langdon Telstra tracker conversation is just reminding me of every Chris Marston post and comment we've ever had over the years. So I reckon we'll leave it there. Migs, any farewell, final closing thoughts before we leave this Carlton game and consign it to history?
No, I think the other whipping boys, Nelson, he seemed to have a fairly decent game. Nelson and Cole both played pretty well, I thought.
I thought he was really good. I thought Cole was really good as well.
Yeah. Oh, the small forwards.
Just stopping and watching to see if that opens up the comments.
Yeah, Jackson Nelson was very good on the weekend, and now we just wait for 30 seconds and see what happens. No, it was good. Yeah. I thought he played his role. I thought Cole had his best game for a little while as well. He got a bit of love on Twitter as well. I think Rod Aldous might have jumped on there, who gets involved with the pod a bit. So g'day, Rod. And I thought it was a good call. Nice game from those guys, yeah. Nelson D list. All right, shit. It's starting. Keys, any final comments before we move away?
There we go.
We won. Bank the 4 points. Let's move on.
Happy days. Right, time for the news.
Good challenge this week.
First bit of injury news. We'll go to Ryan Daniels, our man, the icon, Ryan Daniels, and a very, very nice tweet here, Miguel. Ryan Daniels says, quote, strong chance West Coast Eagles will have McGovern, Kelly, Shuey, Shepherd, and Duggan all back post their round 14 bye. Now, Duggan we'll get back to later. He's been named this week, so obviously very, very close for him. A lot of good names on that list there, Migs. Good news to hear at this time of year.
Yeah, Shuey, they're saying, will probably play against Subiaco next week, which is the AFL's team's bye round, which they've now been thrown out because of the rescheduling of this Richmond game coming up. But yeah, so Shuey coming back, Gov coming back. The struggle is going to be fitting them all in and also trying to stagger them a bit, stop playing 6 or 8 guys who are coming off lengthy layoffs and aren't going to be running out games, because that's what we saw happen a couple of weeks ago against the Giants, where we just had too many guys, Hearn, Ryan, Yo on Nat Nui on limited minutes, just too many of those guys, and so there was too much running left to too few. So that'll be the challenge for them, staggering all of their returns so that we're not sort of flooding them all back into the team at the same time. But yeah, certainly good to have them back. We've struggled a bit on the injury front. We seem to have walked past some black cats or under some ladders or something.
Something like that. Keys, we'll get back to injuries a bit later on in the show when we talk selection and the Richmond game. But a bit of news, and this one's a little bit of low-key news because it certainly passed me by. You guys flagged it in the pre-show, and I'm not sure if everybody else has seen it. Maybe I'm the only one that missed it. But Fox Footy are running with a pretty important bit of content here. They have confirmed, for whatever that means to them, foxfooty.com.au has confirmed West Coast quietly re-signed Adam Simpson in recent times to a new deal, locking him to the club until the end of 2024. So it's a 3-year extension. Mark Duffield flagged it earlier in the year, and now apparently it's all signed, sealed, delivered. He will become the second longest-serving coach in West Coast Eagles history if this is true. Your read on this one, Keys?
Yeah, it was sort of something that was flagged earlier on this season, and then this sort of just popped up sort of out of the blue in a discussion about, who's going to replace Buckley at Collingwood and which coaches are out of contract at the end of next year. And I said Simpson's sort of quietly signed a 3-year deal, or an extension till the end of 2024. So usually something like that the club would announce once they've done it. So I'm a touch sceptical because it was Tom Morris after all, but they were pretty bullish on it. They weren't sort of fucking about with little like rumoured to be or things like that. It was sort of pretty definitive that he had. So who knows? Quite good. I mean, Semo's he's had a good run. We've been down a little bit this year so far, and there's some questions over the game plan. But I don't know that anyone's going to do a better job. I'm always a little bit worried that once you get coaches towards the back end of their tenure, you don't really want to be giving them too long, because if things do start to go the wrong way, you want to be able to move them on if need be. But it's I think I posted today we've had 3 coaches hit 10 years or more, and our 3 other coaches combined have got 5 years combined. So we're all in or all out. If you don't get past a year or two, if you get past that first year or two, you're in there for the long term. But they don't give you much chance to prove yourself. If you don't do it after a year or two, you're out the door and someone new comes in. So pretty positive all around since there's every likelihood North might be sniffing around for a new coach at the end of the year. They seem to change them as much as they do their underpants. So good news, I think.
There's no world where North Melbourne could afford Adam Simpson. It'd be mates' rates. But anyway, Migs, we've got some AFLW news as well. List lodging, the trading and signing period all sort of opened up. Do you want to take us through that one, what went down there for the AFLW side?
We had 2 new additions, one at each end. So Amy Schmidt from a Australian girl plays forward at GW, which is a bit of a concern, but she'll at least provide a forward target, which is something we've been lacking down there. And Evie Gooch, who's crossing from the wrong side of the tracks in WA from Freo, but she's a veteran defender who the knock on her is she's a bit slow, but reads the play really well. Can fight above her weight. Can play on bigger defenders. Good intercept mark and a really good kick. So just from that description, you think that sounds exactly like Shannon Hearn. So who doesn't want a Shannon Hearn in their side?
There you go.
So no pressure at all, Evie. The other side was 8 players getting delisted. Couple of sort of really tough decisions, I think. Brianna Green and Alicia Jan's gone. Also, Kate Orme, who would have had to have tweeted the news of her own delisting, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's a real slap, that is.
Yeah, that hurts. Demi Little, Caitlin Pope, who played some games. B. Devlin, who played some games last year, but none this year. And I probably should have listed these players down. Mika Carter, who's a rugby convert, and Julianne Norrish, who we never saw. So, 8 going out, but we've got, I think, 4 draft picks, including 3 of the top 4 picks from the WA region. We'll get some great young talent coming in alongside the 2 additions and the remaining squad members. So, should be looking to step up again in 2022.
Heroes and villains time now. It's the I think the favourite part of the show. Certainly is the one that seems to get people typing up in the comments. So please do so. Heroes and villains, send them in right now. In the comments, we'll read yours out on the air if they pop up here. A couple of nominations from the fans already. Fox Footy commentary, as always. Let's just put this one in pen. It's coming in, permanent marker every week. Yeah. Fox Footy commentary sucks. The SCG got a few nominations for the quality of the ground, for the camera angle. DK on Twitter made specific mention of the camera angle. So, not ideal start to the week from a villainy sense.
That's one off my list.
All right, well, there you go. You tell you what, Keys, fire away. You can lead us off. Give us your villains. What's the list?
So here we go. You ready? I've got a bunch.
Let's do it.
I actually wrote them down this week because I didn't forget them. So let's start off with holding the ball. Can I get this fucking right? I mean, they just completely. I'm not picking on sides or anything like that, but it's just an absolute joke. You're getting Dusty Martin spun around in a 720, no holding the ball. Guys are not handballing it. It's just an absolute shit show. I mean, you don't know when it's going to be paid, when it isn't going to be paid. Fucking sort it out. We got a, on the face of it, like a bit of a pat on the back from Robbo in the Herald Sun on Monday, and when he shows his tackle and said about what a gutsy win at the SCG it was, but couldn't stop having a bit of a dig saying, we're scared of jumping on planes. Get fucked, Robbo.
Yep.
Whilst I won, Robbo. Anyone see the Buckley press conference?
Oh, this is Robbo's had a shocking week. This is the second worst thing he's done this week, but you go on.
He has tried to get on the press conference. It's not an important press conference. They're just announcing they're sacking the coach after 10 years or whatever he's been there. And Robbo's on Zoom. Yeah, can you hear me? Can you hear me? I mean, that's the sort of shit that I pull. He's the lead bloody writer for Herald Sun, and he's the lead co-presenter on AFL 360, which is probably the lead football program in the country. You're a fucking buffhead, mate. Jesus.
Can I just quickly, while we're doing Robbo, before I'm going to have to try and pull up this quote, so give me a minute. But the Robbo situation this week was devastating. That jumping in the press conference was one thing. Sorry, it is going to take me a second. I'm sure this isn't riveting viewing, but here we go. I promise you it'll be worth it. Robbo, where are you, mate? Not sure that I can find it. That's an anticlimax if I ever saw one. But he did the interview with Neil Danaher on 360 this week. Out. No, I'm not editing anything out. We're going live. We'll do it live. Here we go. Neil Danaher. Did anybody see this? The Neil Danaher interview with Robbo?
I did see it, yeah.
Here we go. Let's have a look. Right. Direct quote. I found it. This is the patience worth sticking with. Here we go. To Neil Danaher. Big freeze. All of the issues around Neil Danaher from a health point of view that we're all well documented. Robbo has looked at him in the eye and said, man to man, I can't understand a word you're saying, but I do think you're funnier now than you were before. What the fuck is that? How does he still have a job? I told you the payoff would be worth it. That is as horrendous as it gets. I'll throw back to you, Keys, but I just couldn't let Robbo slide off that one.
No one can understand the word Robbo says. He's not even funny.
Oh, no. Jesus.
Yeah, he's got less of an excuse.
Carlton?
Yep.
Good job. Didn't want to come here because, don't want to lose the Eagles at Optus. We're playing the SCG where we can win. Just pissed away $1 million, you bunch of fucking dickheads. So, yeah, Carlton, you get it for being a bunch of scaredy cats, not want to get on a plane. But apparently it's us that's scared to get on a plane. I'm sure we'll get to this a little bit more detail. I'm okay with the game being shifted against Richmond. There's good reasons for it. I don't want Richmond having to stay in Sydney for any longer than necessary because who knows, I might go to a strip club and get in a fight outside the kebab shop.
Jeez, settle down.
So fair enough. But part of the reason is some of the government restrictions, South Australia government and in WA, because part of the problem was Richmond, if they were here, weren't going to be allowed to leave their hotel. They were going to be in lockdown. So that's why they've gone back to Sydney. Part of the reason why they've got the game being moved. So, and the other thing is, we've accepted it. We've moved on. I'll give you the guarantee that if we said that we wanted the game moved over east for 4 days, Imagine the media over there whinging Eagles. Not a fucking skerrick of a thing about whinging Richmond, but no doubt they're the ones that push for it. But anyway, we'll move on. Our team song, it sucks. I went to the Dreamtime game. And when Richmond won, and you have the Richmond song comes on at the end, and it's up, and the crowd are up, and things like that. Our song's just like a damp squib. We've got to fix it, really. Good on the SCG for dusting off the copy they had from 30 years ago, because I haven't really had to update it any time recently. But yeah, fix the song. Hopefully I'm not boring anyone. Nick Rewald, you're a fucking dickhead.
This is breathtaking. You've just got a full list. I love this. Keep going. What's Nick Rewald done? Fire away.
Nick Rewald. What's the one thing that comes up every year about finals? Let's have a wild card round before the week of finals. Nick Rewald apparently came up and thinks it's a new idea and said, you know what we should do? The 8th set, let's have a wild card round of finals. For a start, it's not having 7th play 10th and 8th play 9th. That's not wild card. That's not what wild card means. That's just another elimination final. We've got 18 teams. We don't need 10 teams in the finals. It comes up every fucking year. It's a stupid idea.
This is born from the NBA having a play-in round this year.
Yep.
And it works quite well. It was quite enthralling and all of this. So now everybody's gone, hey, let's do more. Why don't we just let them all in?
What they forget is how many teams are in the NBA now, Badge? 36?
30.
30?
And 16 play. Well, now 20 play some sort of playoff.
Oh, okay. So that fucks my argument.
Sorry. Well, two-thirds of the comp's playing finals. That's pretty suspect.
NFL, because I know in NFL they have, well, it was 12, and it's now 14 out of 32 teams make their finals, and they actually have a wild card series that makes sense because they've got divisions and conferences, and there's uneven schedules where not everyone plays each other even once, let alone twice. So there's a reason for it in the NFL, and that's why it's called a wild card. We don't have a wild card system. It's another elimination final. It doesn't matter. If you reckon there's too many teams, keep it exciting. Just, piss off. So, Nick Rewald, you can get off. Commentary, BT.
He's got so many.
God, leave some for the rest of us.
The amount of time learning the players' names, what the actual names are and who's who, instead of coming up with dick-faced, bloody catchy names, you'd actually get them right. But no, he's too busy working out bloody stupid pronunciations of guys' names. Just try getting them right, mate.
Hey, Migs, can you tell me where any of our footballers went to, what their private school upbringing was? Because that's what I want to hear when we're watching the bloody football. Jesus.
Yeah. Who cares where they went to school?
Yeah, that came up, didn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, I mean, during play, it's like there's a game going, you want to maybe commentate on what's going on there.
Yeah.
All right, last one, I promise. Not that I can really tell just after I just abused everybody on social media, but social media abuse. Oscar Allen getting told, you dickhead, you fucked my multi, break your neck.
Oh, yeah.
Because he had the temerity to go for a mark and land on his head and get concussed. I mean, yeah, look, comment on players, and there's a lot of stuff that gets said on social media, and, some of it's not that great. A lot of it's just, on things like Big Footy and that, where people aren't really going to see it. Messaging a player directly to break his neck, these guys, mate, just so you lost some money, sucked in. Don't bet, fuckhead, and cut the abuse out. Anyway, I'm done.
Nicely done, Keys. Very nice. We've had a few people jump on while this has been going. So if you're trying to figure out what's what, we're doing heroes and villains. We're clearing the air. Heroes and villains for the week, and Keys just given us about 50, and they're all great. Just quickly, Migs, I'll throw to you in a minute, but before we get to the betting side of things, don't be a fuckwit, obviously. You're responsible for your own actions. Don't message a player, But far out, I find it disingenuous when you've got Fox Footy saying, oh, isn't this sick that somebody would message a player over something like a multi? And then in watching the video to try and get that bit of news, I've got a preview from Sportsbet and then throwing a Campbell Brown to tell me the odds and all this. Like, They've built the beast themselves a little bit. It doesn't excuse this guy being an absolute prick, but
the odds for the next player to get abused on social media are
exactly right. Useless. All right, we've had a few people send through heroes, which we will get to in a moment. So thank you for those guys staying up in the chat there. Migs, any villains? Are there any left? Any villains for you this week?
I've got one left, and it's a regular nominee, the AFL, for its sub rule.
Okay.
Dion Prestia shouldn't be playing this week. If you sub a player out, it should be because they've suffered an actual injury. That's a 12-day injury. That's what the rules brought in for, not this hamstring awareness or whatever the hell they said Prestia had, so that they could get Rioli on for Dreamtime. And I don't want to make this about Prestia and about Richmond, because we did it with Kennedy one week as well. But clubs are pushing the limits of the rule. They're using the sub. Originally was supposed to just be for concussions, and we've seen a lot of concussions over the last couple of weeks.
Who knew clubs would do that?
Yeah, far out. Who saw that coming?
Everyone 5 minutes after the rule came out. That's not going to work.
Yeah, because I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet, but clubs will start doing it. 5 minutes into the last quarter, their second ruckman or slowest key forward who's not getting a touch will get hamstring awareness and be subbed out, and so teams will be using their sub every week and making sure they use it, and we'll be back to what we had in 2011, which I thought we got rid of. So, that was the only nomination I had that Keys didn't pinch him.
Very fair. Who are we giving it to? Who was the villain of the week? I think it's Robbo. I'm sorry. I think he's just transgressed too many times. It might be back-to-back for Mike Robinson.
Yeah, that's tough to do.
Yeah, Robbo.
The age journos as well. I won't go through the ring.
I was waiting for him to say
tweets, but they were none too pleased anyway. Migs?
Sorry?
No, we're good. No, we're good. We're good. In honour of Robbo, I think we're going to pretend technical difficulties just happened. All right, let's keep firing away. We've had some heroes come through. First one, we got it here. Hero is Trev for signing up Simo again. Best CEO in the comp. You love to see that. We've got a hero nomination here from Cameron for Elliot Yeo, bringing back some passion and some energy to the team. You love to see that. A couple more through the week. Rod had a hero, and his hero was the Eagles recruiting staff. Says that they don't normally get enough love, but Harry Edwards looks like an absolute gem. I think he threw around 100 gamer in there as well, so fantastic. My hero of the week, guys, was Dan Venables, because he did a fantastic interview on the club website, social media, whatever it was. Big ups to Thumper as well for running that one and asking a couple of very poignant questions, pretty significant questions. So, if you haven't seen that, definitely check it out. Dan Venables talking all things concussion and his life since that big clash against Melbourne and his playing career, his future. So definitely worth checking that one out. Dan Venables is my hero of the week. Migs, who did you like this week?
Venables was my first one. That's going to be tough to beat. Neil Danaher as well. Similar reason. Just
he's bloody funny as well. I'll tell you what, he's a funny guy.
He's a bit of an inspiration. And the Beagles, who I'm really only just nominating them so they get a mention because they're not in the run sheet, but put up a really good fight against Claremont in a game that I thought they'd lose by 20 goals. Only had, I think, about 6 AFL players, and 2 of them joined the club on the Thursday and then played on the Saturday. Lost a rotation early. One of the top-up players did his ankle, but managed to keep in touch with Claremont for most of the game. Connor West, obviously a standout, and I thought we'd be talking about him when we got to changes, but then he's not in the side, so he'll on it for another week, I suppose. But just a good performance by them all around.
Yep, good first impression. And Sal, hero of the week, Connor West as well. So nice to see that one there. Keys, a lot of people drew the eye. Did anybody do you well?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's fair enough. I sort of gave everyone as villains, so fair enough. You guys pinched Venables and Danaher off me, but Dan Venables, absolutely. Dan Venables, absolutely. That was a really, really good interview. Really raw. I'm a bit torn after watching that. The guy obviously wants to come back and play footy again. That's his passion. I'd love to see it, but when you hear about his symptoms and what he's still going through to this day, you really worry about whether or not setting foot in on footy field's the best thing for him. So I hope just whatever he does, things work out for him, because he seems like an absolutely ripping bloke that's had a really unfortunate accident that's pretty much screwed his life for a couple of years now. So all the best to him. And Thumper was a really good interview. That was good. Circling back a little bit to our mate Robbo, Bucks, can we put him on mute? You get a hero nomination from me, but telling you someone to mute Robbo, that's worthy of a nomination.
Good stuff, Bucks.
Optus Stadium. I went to the Dreamtime game Saturday night. Optus, the WA public, I thought Essendon dealt with it really well. It was a really, really good night, and I think it's shown the rest of the country just how good Optus Stadium actually is. We put our best foot forward. The stadium looked fantastic. The whole night was a massive, massive success, to the point where you've got, a lot of comments coming through on Twitter, and so if you're trying, if the grand final's not at the MCG, well, then it has to be at Optus.
Oh, really? Bloody hell!
So
who knew that?
I've seen a lot of sort of really positive stuff coming through, and props to Essendon today. They took out a full-page ad in the West Australian, I believe, thanking their supporters over here, the football public, Optus, everyone, for turning out a really good night and getting involved in the long walk as well. So that's that one. And the other one, Matthew Gale sort of responded to a tweet, and I was fucking about on Twitter because we were worrying about what happened with Callum Jamieson. And I made the comment that, worst of all, man, you got Parkinson's disease. And Matthew Gale's managed to, some blame management, some blame employees. Everybody knows it's Optus Stadium disease. So that was really funny. Probably no one else thinks that, but I did. Enough for Matty Gale, if you're listening.
Come on down.
You get it.
I don't know if Badge has got the knowledge of the Dire Straits back catalogue there to get that reference.
Probably not. We're not. Sorry, we're not doing old school hits again this week. We did. What do we do? We did Genesis last week. We're not doing Dire Straits this week. I'm sorry, we're not. Moving along.
But moving along. Hero of the week, Dan Venables.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Dan Venables, hero of the week. Karaoke time, says Sal. I don't think we'll be having that anytime soon, mate. We're done. That was one and done. We're not doing that again. That was one and done. Guys, I think it's time to move on to the match preview, so let's do it. We will dive in. West Coast versus Richmond. West Coast Eagles, they play Richmond, 5:20 p.m. at Optus Stadium. Of course, it's been moved up. Migs, we'll go through the team, and once again, I'll chuck them up here on the screen in a moment, but a fair few changes for West Coast. We've got Allen coming in, Brander, Duggan is back, thank goodness. We got Jermaine Jones, Josh Kennedy, and Nathan Vardy as well named. Sunday games, so extended benches, obviously out Shepherd with the concussion, and also out Bailey Williams. Probably might have been dropped one way or the other, but a bit of the old hamstring awareness, as you said there. So they're the ins and outs for us. Migs, what did you make of the changes, and who do you think makes that final team?
Yeah, they've done a really good job of confusing things with the extended bench, because there's a number of ways they could go, I think. Firstly, with the ruck situation, with Vardy being named, Waterman's on that extended bench as well. You could either go straight swap for Williams, and then probably Allen replaces Waterman, or you could just bring Allen in straight swap for Williams and have him rucked. Richmond have a genuine second ruckman and not Marlon Pickett so much, but still very much to write home about with Nankervis out. They just got Coleman Jones, so depending on Allen's fitness, and he was looking banged up even before he fell on his head and almost did break his neck. if he's fit enough to ruck, then I'd look at rucking him and playing Waterman, leaving Vardy out. But Vardy did have ready to come in and fill that role, but that would mean Waterman probably getting squeezed out. Foley, I think, has to play as that seventh defender, with either Duggan or Nelson playing on the wing or up the ground or something, or Nelson could play as a tagger. So there's a few ways we could go there, but I'd have Foley in the team. Then I think three mids, O'Neill, Brander and Luke Edwards are all fighting for one spot, and the two forwards, Langdon and Jones, are fighting for one spot. But part of me thinks Petruccelli might be laid out tomorrow, just with the ice he had on his hamstring at the end of the game last week. If we're getting close to full strength, we don't need to be playing any players under clouds. So if he's in a bit of doubt, I'd be leaving him out and maybe playing both of Langdon and Jones. A number of ways they can go. As I said in one of the other segments, it's going to be difficult. Well, I don't think we've got a choice but to go back to the tall forward line with Kennedy and Allen coming back, and probably one of Waterman or Vardy playing as well. But the forward line did look really good with the smaller lineup and Ryan coming out of the square. But I don't think we can do that and have Kennedy in the side. So a bit of a shame that the forward line that worked, we're going to have to go away from. And last time I checked the forecast, there was a bit of wet weather coming as well. So not the best time to be going tall. So for that reason, I'd probably be leaving Brander out. But
fair changes.
A number of ways we can go.
Yeah, a couple of options there. Obviously, the Tigers, we know what they like. We know how frenetic they are. If you didn't watch the Essendon game, Essendon clawed back a lead with about 8 or 10 minutes left in the game, and then they still got done by about 40 points. So just to dot the I's here and cross the T's, we've got Kane Lambert named as an in for Richmond, along with some youngsters here. Will Martin, Hugo Ralph-Smith, and Ben Miller. Out is Riley Collier-Dawkins. Keys, we know what Richmond are. We know that, or certainly we've discussed in the past, the best version of the Eagles. Hey?
They're a bunch of pricks, that's what they are.
Yeah, copy that. I can't argue that at all. But, their game style, it goes quite contrary to ours. Ours goes quite contrary to theirs. They're almost the direct opposite of each other. So what do you expect this week when we've got, it's 7th versus 8th? It's not exactly 1st versus 2nd like we might have suspected, but it's a big clash nonetheless.
Yeah, it's a big game. It's a bit of a crossroad game for both sides. It's sort of, the winner sort of gets themselves not comfortable in the 8, but sort of gets a bit of a breather on the pack, and the losers right back in the mix with GWS and Essendon nipping at their heels. So it's a big game. Two completely different styles of play. We're really structured, purposeful. Season on the line. Probably not quite, but thereabouts. Richmond.
It's about the 10th in a row season on the line game.
Season's been on the line for a while, I feel.
Richmond have been very, they're a very chaotic game style. There's a structure to it and there's a purpose to it. I mean, I hadn't seen Richmond live, like as in the flesh, in this sort of like 4-year run that they've had. I mean, partly because they've only been over here once before last Saturday, but it was kind of interesting watching how they play and how they structure up. They really just move the ball forward at all costs. But what they don't do is they don't kick the ball high. It's always low, flat kicks, and just they're happy to risk turning the ball over on the basis that they like a chaotic sort of game. And I think they sort of trick the other team into like losing their structure and thinking they've got to play the same way. And, when once Essendon got control of the ball early in that last quarter, they sort of chipped it around and moved the ball and were able to cut through Richmond. But once the pressure came back on and Essendon started kicking the ball in hope and losing their structure, then Richmond were just all over them. They've also got this really annoying habit, partly because it looks ugly, but also because it's super effective. They just get the ball to a spot about 20 metres out from goal and just put it there into a hole, and then they just have guys running onto it. So the goals look kind of arsey out of nothing, but it's because they know that's where they're going, and then guys like Bolton and Arts and Castagna and all that, they leave the space open, but once it's going, they're hitting that area at pace. Really hard to defend. Super effective. I just hope the other thing I noticed is just how good Richmond are at pushing guys underneath the ball. Rebolt and Grimes especially. And they get away with it all the time, but they've got this thing where they kind of push with their elbow and just sort of run guys underneath the ball all the fucking time. It's annoying, and they hardly ever get picked up for it. And the one time they do, Rebolt bloody throws his arms up and starts looking like it's
like, all of that.
Yeah. But
we need words of affirmation to come in then.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's almost, sorry to cut you off there, Keys, it's almost going back to the NBA. The Detroit Pistons back in the day, back in the Jordan days, had this theory that basically, we'll foul you, we'll foul the shit out of you, but they're actually not going to call all of them. Eventually, the umpires or the refs will start to skew what is and is not legal based on what they've been calling. So, we'll foul you, but we'll play some good defense in there that also isn't called. So, they're basically betting on the fact that the umpire's not going to call a push every time, so we might as well push them every time.
Yeah, and they get away with more often than not. The other thing I saw someone popped up, do we tag Dusty? He's really interesting to watch. He doesn't go past. It's like there's you draw a line through the centre, and it's like that's the forbidden zone. He does not go into the fence. He doesn't pay any attention to his opponent. If the guy runs off, he's going off. You go, nah, not going with you. What he doesn't do, he doesn't get sucked into the contest. He will sit off about 5 metres off where the ball's been contested, but he's close enough. He's always on the move and he's always watching the ball. And if the ball pops up somewhere, he's close enough that he can run it, grab it, and then break away at pace. Or alternatively, if someone like Cotchin or Prestia or one of those in and under guys get it, he's there ready, waiting to receive and then be on his way. His positioning is really, 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 really good. And they look for him. And because his disposal is brilliant. If he gets the ball, 2 out of every 3 times, either he's kicking the goal or he's setting someone up for it. And then when he doesn't hardly spend any time on the bench, he goes forward and he's goal square when he's just sitting in the goal square. If his opponent wants to sit at the 50-metre line, he's happy for his guy to sit out there. He's like, well, okay, I'm just going to sit back here. If it comes over your head, mate, you're screwed because I'm going to get it. So we need someone really smart to sit on him. I've theorised I wouldn't mind us running Duggan with him, simply because Duggan's not going to be fully fit coming back from an injury, but Martin doesn't cover that much ground. It's not like you're trying to tag someone like a Gaff who runs all day, or I'm sure there's other players in the comp.
Or a Parish or somebody on the weekend.
Yeah, they just run and run and run. Martin doesn't do that. He's minimum effort, maximum impact. So, and Duggan's got the size. If Martin does drag him forward, he's got as much as anyone, and I list the size to sort of go with him. And I reckon if we use Yo, I reckon we're wasting Yo because we need Yo at the Coal. The one thing with Richmond, you've got to win contested possessions at the coalface, and that's what we need. Yo going in there and getting it, because the best way to stop Martin is to stop guys like Cotchin and Prestia winning the ball in the first place and getting it out to him. So that's where I think we've got to go. And if we can win the ball contested, that's how we'll win the game.
So, Migs, thank you very much to Kim as well, who brought up whether or not we tag Dusty, and let's keep exploring that. Let's talk about the midfield mix as well. Richmond, interestingly enough, for a team that have been so dominant for so long, and you think about all the talent on the list, dead last in the league in clearances. Once they go forward, they lock you in, and they lock you in until they kick a goal. Because once it's in their forward line, it's only one team's going to score. You don't slingshot against Richmond, but last in the league in clearances. Their ruck division, Nankervis not playing, but hit outs. He's got 262. Their next closest, I believe, is Chol with 28. It's a pretty significant drop off there. So do you go this classic Dusty matchup that we sort of romanticize, or do you waste Yo away from the coalface? Do you try and hand it over when he goes forward? How do you navigate that, and how do you make sure that the midfield is getting maximum impact? Because if the Richmond midfield starts winning it, once they go forward, it's not coming back out.
Yeah, well, I sort of had thought we'd go with the Yo tag on him, but Keys has pretty much talked me out of it. So yeah, maybe maybe Redden sort of he's got the size and strength to go with Martin, or either a Duggan or a Nelson if we are going to play one of those up the ground. Yeah, one of them. But I think we just really need to rely on Nat Nui's dominance. He'll dominate Chol and Coleman Jones and absolutely dominate Marlon Pickett if he rucks. And just make sure that
he doesn't ruck.
Well, we saw that against Essendon. They weren't jumping against Nick Nat against Essendon, unless very rarely were they, let's say. He was just jumping over and they were playing 4 on the floor against Nick Nat, trying to put it wherever he wanted it.
The other thing we need to do is try and get the game on our terms and play that chip around game and just play kick mark and make them sort of run to man up on us and try and wear them out, because that's one thing that knock on Richmond this season, I think, is that they've faded out of games, and the style that they play is a really intense game style. And if we can make them work really hard to match us up on defence, then we can hopefully wear them out. But yeah, they as Keith said, they rely on the forward pressure and they rely on scoring off turnovers. They don't score much from clearances, so yeah, we just need to make them move around a bit and make sure we don't give them the easy.
I think I saw a stat out of last week's game. I think Richmond scored 100 points off turnovers from Essendon. I think which was
sounds right,
like a season high or something like that. And that's the thing. We've just got to, what Meg said, we've got to keep control of the footy, which is why the rain kind of sucks, because it makes it that little bit harder to do. But if we can do that, it's get the ball against Richmond and then keep it off them. That's the key to winning. I mean, it sounds it's easy to say. It's very difficult to do because they're a very good pressure team.
50% chance of rain on Sunday currently. So, yeah, let's fingers crossed for that one. But, I mean, we've discussed it. We've discussed it every time we play Richmond for 4 years now, really. The styles clash, but they clash in a way that Richmond want to speed you up. And if the Eagles can avoid that, again, easier said than done, but if the Eagles can avoid being sped up, the game is there to be had. Richmond aren't this, all-conquering monster that we've seen in the past. They're starting around into a bit of form. Pretty healthy, 2 or 3 guys out, but relatively healthy side. If the Eagles can get it from Nat Nui and go forward with a little bit of poise, all right, we might be onto something here. The issue is, and we've all discussed it now however many times, you get sped up, you decide, oh, shit, we're under pressure here, let's just bang it long. They're going to have 2 or 3 guys set up behind the structure. They're going to mark it. They'll bring it back in, repeat entries, and suddenly they're wearing down Barras. They're wearing out Edwards or Hearn or whoever's down there trying to do work. They're starting to get worn down with repeat entries. Keys, let's talk about our forward structure. We saw Ryan have a great deal of success from the goal square, up the ground, pretty much everywhere. Darling has had great success against Richmond in the past. He genuinely has really enjoyed playing the Tigers, probably the only consistent bloke against them. Kennedy back, Allen back in, hopefully for his 50th game. There's talent. It's just a matter of supply. It's a matter of good supply as well.
And a good supply. I think I'd like us to make sure, keep Kennedy really deep. The other thing Richmond do with their setup that's really good is usually it's Grimes. Grimes he sits back. He's like a kind of like a goalkeeper of sorts, but he doesn't let. There's no one behind him. So I mean, what you don't see when Richmond play is you don't see Richmond get goals over the back very often, because Grimes in particular is always sitting there back as the deepest defender. So what we need Kennedy to do is make sure that Grimes is engaged, so that if Kenny can stay deep, and he's good at doing that, so that when we are coming out of the fence, Grimes just can't go and just cut it off. He's got to be mindful of where Kennedy is. I'd like to see us run Ryan out of the goal square a little bit as well. He did it at waffle level. I mean, that's how he got drafted. He kicked 80, 90 goals a year for Subi, playing out of a goal square. He kicked 4 goals against Carlton, playing out of a goal square. Get him down there. He'll make guys shit themselves if he's down there, because they can't. There's no one in Richmond's backline that's got the pace to go with Ryan on the lead. So, and that's why I think it'd be I don't want to see Waterman in the side, because I don't think we need him, and I don't want to see Vardy in the side. We need to keep Allen and Kennedy coming back. We've got Darling there. That's enough tools. We don't need Waterman and Vardy in the side. I think he just clutters things up. We need, Ryan, and we need the likes of Langdon and Jones and Petrocelli, if he does play, to run around and keep the pressure on the guys like Hawley and Vlosten that they use to come out of the black line. So small forwards, Kennedy deep, and then swing Ryan down there when Kennedy's having the rest.
I love that call about Kennedy deep. It's something that bothers me sometimes, in that a team will drop a spare back and Simo's seemingly happy to give it to him. You can't give it to him against Richmond because there's so much pressure on the ball. That long hat kick down the line, if it's not a 50-50 and let's take it out of bounds, let's reset, bring Nat Nui into the game. If it's not that, it's a chess mark and it's coming straight back in. So love that call. Hope we see Kennedy stay deep. Migs, any closing thoughts on Richmond, how we match up, any matchups that you're looking forward to? And then let's get stuck into some tipping here as well.
Matchups with Martin and Yo, if we do see that. Yeah, definitely a matchup I'm looking forward to. You want me to do my tip?
Yeah, let's do it.
I'll go. I'll pick us by 12, and I didn't do this in advance because I hadn't seen the teams. I'll pick Dom Sheed's having a good run of form. He's enjoying having Yo back, I think, and I'll pick him to have another big game, and another 30-2. We won't expect 3 goals from him, but 30-2.
Very nice. Keys, who's winning and who's impressing us?
Well, you know what the margin's going to be.
It's 24.
Look, jokes aside, I'm actually really worried about this. I still think with Shuey and Kelly out of the side, our midfield sort of lacks the sort of depth that we need to properly test Richmond. So that concerns me. The wet weather concerns me. I mean, we played Richmond 4 times in the last 4 years. Anytime there's been rain or sun, when it's been dry, we've got them. When it's been, and I think we've had 2 games off the top of my head where we've been in front of them at half time, then rain's come in and we've lost the game. So the fact there's a bit of moisture around worries me. I think Richmond will probably get us. I just don't quite think Richmond aren't in great form, but I think they're in better form than us. And I think their game style under the conditions is better suited than what ours is. Hope I'm wrong. Best on ground, I think, Nick, this will be a game. If we're going to win, we need Nick to have a big game because it's really important for us for our clearances, not just his centre taps, but that bullocking work in close in the centre. We need to get the ball going our end because, as you say, Badge, once it goes down to Richmond's end, it doesn't often come out. And if it does come out, it's usually rushed, which means it goes straight back in there. So we need to win the territory battle, and for that to happen, we need Nick to have a blinder. So yeah, I'm going Nick best on ground. He's going to really step up for us on Sunday.
Nicely done, gents. I had the Eagles by 12, so thanks for that, Migs. I'll change that to Eagles by 11.
Go 18. Split it. Go on.
Go on, 18. Eagles by 18. Let's do that. Who cares? Keys, I had Nick Nat for best on, so thanks for that. I'll pivot that one to Jack Darling. Potentially more hope than logic to that one, but we beat them comfortably at Optus last time, and this was a game, it was level at halftime, and then the Eagles went on, beat them by 47. Now, yes, that was 2018. We were a better team. We were potentially a more balanced team as well. But I don't know, there's something here. If we can get them, they've been on a plane a couple of times. They're not used to that. If we can get them and head into a bye, come out of it with all the healthy bodies, and everybody will be happy. I'm talking myself into it. They're pulling me back in. So I hope I'm right. And if I end up with egg on my face, it'll be a very devastating bye week. But anyway, hope I'm right on that one.
I must admit, when I looked at our side on paper, it's sort of like, there actually doesn't look all that bad. There's, with Kenny Allen and even Duggan coming back in, there's just looks that little bit better. So maybe. Let's hope so. We're due for a beat against these guys.
Well, that'll do it from us this week, I think, guys. Thank you very much. Migs, back on the show.
That?
Fine style. What's going on here, Keys?
Is that me?
Keys is hearing things.
Badger's gone fuzzy. I think your internet might be
no.
telling us it's time to wrap it up.
You've lost me. Am I there?
You've
I can
done
hear
it,
you, but you sound like you've got a mouthful of bees.
That's right. Robbo's trying to join in.
Right, well, you can't hear me. Thank you very much, Migs. You might have to take us home.
Okay, thanks all. Thanks, Keys. Thanks, Badge. Can we mute Badge? Thanks, Oka. And, see you all later.
Good work, Oka.